Lows ahead of their earnings, which are today after the bell. But here's something you do not hear every day. In fact, it's a little bit unusual. The company's CEO, Jack Ma, implemented a hiring freeze because he says the company is growing too fast. Let's bring in Anthea Zhang, Professor of Strategic Management at Rice University, and Ed Lee, Recode Managing Editor. To both of you, great of you to join the show today. Ed, do you believe this, that the hiring freeze is because the company is, quote, growing too fast? Or do you think there might be something more at play, maybe some political maneuvering or regulators talking behind the scenes?
I mean, can you ever really grow too fast? I mean, that's a lot of the reason why investors were interested.
If you were growing, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Why they're interested in Alibaba in the first place. Unfortunately, it's really unclear. I mean, China in general, with their regulatory issues, as you brought up, are generally opaque, so we don't really know what's going on there. What we can say is that Jack Ma hasn't really taken a dime of government money, and I think that's very much in his favor and Alibaba's favor. So they're not necessarily in the pockets of officials there, so he doesn't have to play to them quite as much. But still, you have to heed warnings, so that could be a factor. If that's not a factor, yes, business, they could be slowing down, and that's a concern for investors, and we'll have to know more about that tomorrow. But unfortunately, we don't really know the reason beyond what he said publicly.
Oh, maybe, Anthea, that he just wants to keep it at a more manageable size. I mean, certainly it hasn't been able to get any traction in overseas markets, which might actually be quite important when you think about it. If the Chinese market is presenting some saturation issues, then it really does need to grow overseas, doesn't it? Anthea?
Yeah, it doesn't go overseas, but its home market is still doing very well. Actually, I don't think it is because of regulatory reasons. I think it is because Jack Ma wants to keep the company at a manageable size, because its competitor, JD.com in China, has an employment size twice as big as Alibaba's.
Brian?
Well, and the other thing to note here too is that Alibaba's their employment been growing at a rapid clip. I think they grew their employee rank 64% from 2013 to 2014. So they had already grown pretty fast that way. Still, it is unusual for a CEO of a company to say we're growing too fast and we want to cap employment or cap our personnel ranks until we sort it out. So it's also just potentially a way to kind of, game it a little bit and sort of lower expectations. That's another possibility here that we should be looking at, too.
And Thea, do you think there's any possibility that this is some kind of political issue that's at play here? Something that, we may never actually know because, the way China works. But at the same time, do you think there's a possibility?
I don't think any is because of political reasons. Because Alibaba's headcount increased by 63% last year. Such a high growth rate is not sustainable. So it is time for Alibaba to settle down and to optimize its business portfolio after rapid growth period.
Okay. Anthea and Ed, thank you very much for joining us. And just to reiterate that the results are today after the bell. And by the way, Jack Ma said Alibaba faced the danger of high expectations back in November. And Brian, since that time, since November, and he said that comment, it's lost market value of about $70 billion. So, another comment is, again, whacking the stock. It's very interesting.
A lot of billions. Mandy, thank you. All right, it is that time of day again. The final oil trades crossing for the session. Jackie DeAngelis at the NYMEX setting us up for the close.